I'm black. I'm back. Hello, I'm black. Hello, I'm back with what some are calling the most reliable and consistent vlogging process maybe in the world. Yes, I'm back with another vlog about how the season's project is going. It's been like 6 weeks to 8 weeks since the last vlog. My bad. But lots has been going on, and I thought it'd be fun to talk about it and say hi and see how you're doing. And it's a beautiful Friday, and Summer, my record Summer, has been out now for 3 weeks, and it's pretty exciting. I found out yesterday from Spotify that the album as a whole, the cumulative streams has reached 500,000, which is pretty amazing. Now, to be fair, the large portion of that is streams from In My Apartment, which is a song I released like a year ago that's had a whole year to build up a ton of streams. And then all the other songs have like 10,000, 20,000 streams each. But I'm still really pleased with this record, and I'd be very curious to hear what you guys think about the record. Um, Much like with spring, putting out a record always has like a little bit of a grieving process because you put the record out and the world doesn't stop turning. Because I have been orbiting this album. It was like my every waking thought. And then you put it out and you're like, well, why isn't it everyone else's every waking thought? And it's like, that's just not how the world works. Like, people might listen to it once and then be like, oh, that was pretty cool. Like, Beyonce's record came out the next week, and Beyonce is like a pretty big deal. But I listened to the record like one time and I hearted like two of the songs, and like that was it. That was my experience with the record. So I don't know why I would expect anything more of the world than I would give to Beyonce, who is, quite a bit more established than me. My friend Sam, he was messaging me. He was like, is your record coming out on the same day as Beyonce? And I was like, no, don't worry. Mine is a week earlier. And he was like, oh, that's good of you to leave Beyonce her space, to not overcrowd or overshadow Beyonce. So the reactions to Summer have been really fun and really nice. And one of my favorite things about doing this project is every once in a while someone will just like DM me on Instagram and be like, your music means a lot to me, or I really love this song. And that kind of like one-to-one validation, it means like so much more than like a million streams in a way, because it's so real. It's the closest thing to someone coming up to you after a show and being like, I loved that song, or like, oh, that means so much to me. Because otherwise, the sense of putting things out on the internet is just shouting them into the void. But what can you do? Also, for Summer, I decided, because it was a poppier record, that I was going to create some sort of like high quality portrait style videos. Originally, I called my friend Jesse Kruger. He's a videographer and a really talented cinematographer, and he's also a Twitch streamer. And I just said, hey, I want to make like really good TikToks. And he was like, yeah, let's do that. But we ended up we just filmed for like 12 hours, and we filmed 5 videos, and we ended up having enough footage that I was able to assemble whole music videos from those shoots that were originally supposed to be like 45-second clips. So I've been posting those out. You may have seen some of them here on my YouTube. I already posted out the video for Hot and Dumb and for Loner Season, and I've also been posting them out on TikTok. Yeah, something about that's been really interesting is TikTok, they've all flopped. Like, they've all done terribly. And it's funny because there's really no correlation between effort and result in life, but also especially on TikTok. And if anything, it seems like when people see something on TikTok that feels like well made or curated, sometimes they're like, bleh. Like, anytime you give the sense that you're trying to in any way promote something, they're just like shut down, which makes sense, because when I use TikTok, I don't want to be marketed to. I just want to like use the platform. But it also leads to all this like sneaky marketing that is really like kind of gross in its own different way, where it's like, I don't know. I could list a few examples, but I'd be like, I'd be naming certain artists, or I just don't feel like talking bad about anybody. Um, but you all know, I'm sure you can spring to mind examples of this sort of like sneaky marketing where people say they're just like, it's like, oh, my dad, like listening to my record for the first time, or oh, my record label doesn't want me to release this song, but I'm going to do it. Like these sort of made up narratives designed to get people to be like, don't let the man keep you down, or these just made up scenarios, and it's all marketing. And half of me is torn between being like, that's kind of weird and gross, and the other half of me is like, well, if it's working, maybe I should do that. That's sort of how a lot of my feelings about artistry and commercialism work in general. But I've also just been trying to get the record out however I can, and it's all been going pretty well. I'm really pleased with how the record sounds. I just think it's a cool record, and yeah, I listened back to it quite a bit, and I still dig it. So I mean, it's only been 3 weeks, but we'll see how I feel in 3 years. Meanwhile, obviously now that summer is out, I had to immediately get to work on autumn. So the big band day was recorded. So let's see now. About a month ago, maybe 6 weeks ago, I went into the iconic, legendary East West Studios here in LA with 17 musicians, trombonists, trumpet players, all the horns, a pianist, an upright bassist, a drum player, and me. And we recorded 4 songs off the record in 4 hours, which is crazy because my process for really working on any other song on spring or summer, like each song I had at least 2 weeks, 3 weeks of, the recording process and arranging. And instead, this was kind of in the opposite direction where Jacob Mann, who was the arranger on the project, he and I spent months in advance arranging the horns and, putting together all these materials so that we could record the entire thing in 45 minutes, So most of these songs, for each song, we had maybe somewhere between 4 and 7 takes, and we just had to get it in those amount of takes, and we did. The 4 tunes sound really good, and just this morning, I got the first mix back on the first song, and it's so exciting. It's so fun. There's just nothing like music like a big band, and you guys are going to see when the record comes out, but it's just so different from the other 2 records. It's so special and unique, and I think it's just going to be awesome. And so I'm really pleased about that. And then the other half of the record is a small ensemble jazz group. So when you guys see the record in its entirety, it's going to be 8 songs, and 4 of them are these big band tunes with a big horn section, and then 4 of them are these like super laid back, very like autumnal, in my opinion, like jazzy songs, almost like something off of like Chet Baker Sings or off the like When Harry Met Sally soundtrack to me of the seminal pieces of music of the last 100 years. And so it's going to be really cool, but we're recording that on this Sunday in 2 days, and I had rehearsal with Zach Marsh, the pianist, for those 4 tunes, and it's going to be so great. Zach's so talented. For those of you who've like followed my work for a while, a fun fact is that the drummer and pianist, Zach Marsh and Hal Rosenfeld, who are playing with me on 4 of the tunes on Autumn, are also the players that play with me on my podcast, the musical version, which I haven't done an episode of in like 2 years since I started doing TikTok and doing more like serious music. But yeah, point being, that's just a fun little bit of crossover, and I've worked with those guys so much, and they're so talented, and it's going to be so fun. And then in terms of the rest of this journey of this record, the rest of it, Autumn, I may technically be done with the recording of Autumn just 3 weeks after the release of Summer, because we did it in these 2 days, really 1 day for the big band and 1 day for the small ensemble. I'm going to see how it goes. Obviously, I don't know how Sunday's going to go. I'm a little nervous. But it's so different. And something that's interesting about it is on spring, summer, and winter, I pretty much played every instrument, like almost everything you hear with the exception of violins and horns and female vocals is my playing. And on autumn, nothing except my voice is my playing. So it's like, it's so different, but I think that's what's going to make it. And yet it's still, I think, very unified with the rest of the project. So I think it's going to be really fun, but it is a big swing, and hopefully you like it. Yeah, so that's all the updates on the season's project. I'd love to say I'll see you next week, but that's what I always say, and then it always ends up being 6 weeks. So in this case, I'll say I'll see you in 6 weeks. By then, autumn may even be close to being out. But yeah, thank you for coming along on this lovely year-long journey through the seasons. Today it's a blistering hot summer day, but I have to be honest, I'm looking forward to some of these cooler days, some changing leaves, and autumn will be on us before we know it. But yeah, I hope you're well, and I'll see you next time. Bye.